I'm pretty sure by subsist you mean they're contingent, right?
No, that they are sustaining themselves in existence. So subsist means to be sustained in existence.
Okay, so they're either sustained by itself or by another.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not. So you said that every single member lacks the property of subsistence.
Yep. And themselves, they get subsistence from another.
Okay, they get subsistence from another. Okay,
Yeah, and this other doesn't.
I'm not seeing the contradiction derived here.
Yeah, the contradiction is that they can give something they don't have.
They can give something they don't have. What does that mean? Are you just saying that it's impossible for there to be some infinite regress, given that there's an endless chain of subsisting by another, and there's nothing to subsist it to? Because if that's so, then that just kind of begs the question against the infinite regress.
No, because the whole point in which I'm saying is that none of these members have it intrinsically; they have it extrinsically. So if they don't have it intrinsically, then we're gonna say that it's not. It gains if something else. So it doesn't. It can't give. The whole point is say the chain can't give what it doesn't have. So in this case, it doesn't have subsistence, but it gains subsistence. Subsistence is an accident.
Wait, that's confused. Wait, what do you mean when you say it doesn't have subsistence but it gains subsistence? What does it gain subsistence by?
By its parts, trinit.
Wait, it gains subsistence by another, right? Because that's what your premises are established.
Yeah, and another being a part. Yeah, it's parts.
Yeah, great. So say we have x1 and x2 and then x3 and then x4, right? They all gain subsistence by, another member, right? So x1 gains subsistence by x2, right?
X gains existence from Y. Y gains existence from. Yeah.
So x1 gains subsistence by x2, right? Okay, great. So then we can have an infinite chain. We can have an infinite chain of subsistence. I said that x1 gains subsistence by x2, right? Okay, great. So we can go down this infinite chain, and then you're saying that they don't have the property of subsistence, but it's true that they subsist by some other being. And if it's true that given that they subsist by some other being, well then there's no contradiction derived from other thing, unless you just say, well, there has to be some source. And that just seems like circular against the infinite regress problem, right? Because the infinite regress problem automatically assumes that there doesn't need to be some foundational thing.
Yeah, to say the reason, the whole point is to say the reason why I need some source, because when we take X, which X is its what's it called? Accumulation of its essential attributes. None of them are subsistence, right? So if we take X in and of itself, then it doesn't have subsistence. So no matter how many times you multiply X, you don't get subsistence, but you get subsistence by something which is not X, which is the whole point, which is not a member of the set.
Yeah, I'm questioning that very premise. That's what's in question, right? Whether or not you have to gain subsistence by some outside member, by Y, right? Like the question is, why is it necessary that there must be subsistence gain through Y, when there could just be, explanatory power, assuming that, we can just go on X for an infinite amount of time. And subsistence, by the way, is being sustained. Subsistence, wait, hold on. Just subsistence being that, that the act of which is like someone's sustained, right? So given that X is sustained, you're saying things which subsist, they don't gain subsist by some other member, but rather by this one entity that establishes things which subsist, right? But I'm questioning that very premise.
Yeah, you're saying you're questioning it, but my whole point that I just gave you is that X in and of itself doesn't have this thing. So multiply X and you don't gain something from nothing. You don't gain something from its lack. You're gonna contest that premise?
If every single thing lacks property X but is able to share property X such that it's within the set, and within the set it can keep continuously giving this other thing, it just seems trivial that it doesn't need to have this specific property given they can share the property. I'm so confused on why it's a necessary component for them to have the subsistence.
Wait, repeat yourself?
Why is it the case that it's a necessary property for things to have subsistence? If subsistence is passed on, by the way, just to be clear, subsistence being that which is sustained, and you can sustain another infinitely. And I'm guessing the causal chain just includes members such that The universe's parts, other members, other people, etc., etc. Like that, the set of all things which exist is contained inside the set. And then, the conclusion is going to be like, well, there must be some actualizer, there must be some provider that has subsistence itself. But the problem is, we can have an infinite set of things which subsist another, and I'm not sure why we need to grant the conclusion such that we have, or you need subsistence. I'm not sure why we need to grant that.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I understand what you're trying to say, but my point is, we're trying to say that so these things gain this thing, but it doesn't gain it from its. You're gonna say this, sir. So if we look at the entire set in and of itself, it doesn't have it of itself. So when we talk about X doesn't have it because of X, but X has it because of something. Because nothing isn't a causal agent. So because it has it for something, then when we look at the entire chain, we're gonna say it has it from something which is not the chain. Because multiply X times infinite, then it doesn't get you P, which is subsistence, because X does not have P. So I can't give you $20 that I don't have. The same, you multiply a bunch of $20.
Sorry, you done?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if you're like understanding the point that I'm raising here. So the point that I'm understanding is just that given that X lacks the property of Y, there must be something that establishes Y, which that would be Z. That's the conclusion that you're trying to reach here. You're trying to reach and say that Z must instantiate the property Y. I'm saying the property Y is being passed through, it's being shared infinitely. In hopes you like actually respond to this one.
I know it's thing is being shared infinitely. This isn't a temporal notion. That isn't.
Yeah, the point is Y necessary? That's the question.
Yeah. So the reason to say it is because nothing cannot be a cause, right? So if nothing can't be a cause, then you need some cause which is not X because X doesn't have it. So like if we have a bunch of broke people and we have an infinite amount of broke people, and they like broke meaning $0.
Wait, when you say sustain itself, wait, I just want to be clear on the terminology. You said when something sustains itself. That means what?
That it holds itself in existence. It doesn't need anything else.
Wait, so it exists by itself?
Yeah, it sustains itself.
Okay, so then what are your response to like, well, there's so many things that can be said here that's obviously a problem, right? Like, there's things which can sustain itself. Specifically, we can talk about things in physics. For example, we can talk about things like brute facts, for example. There's like so many things that can sustain itself.
I think the only thing that can be brute is something which is merologically simple. Which I don't think there can be one merologically simple thing, which is God. So other than that, like I don't think.
When you say merologically simple, you're excluding to what?
I'm saying there can only merological simples can be brute facts. There can
what do you mean by merological simple? That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, merological simplicity is just having no parts, either physical or metaphysical.
They're either physical or metaphysical. They have no parts.
Isn't that divinely simple though?
Well, merological and divine simplicity.
That's conflating. That's conflating brute facts with That's conflating brute facts with like a divine being. But
my whole point is to say nothing else but that being can have it.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. What's the argument for that?
Yeah, because composite things are the unity of their parts. So if their parts were not unified, then they wouldn't exist. Thus, they exist by virtue of their parts being unified. Thus, they don't subsist in themselves. They subsist by their parts or by another.
Wait, just to clarify, because I'm not trying to join in the debate, but just to clarify, you saying that basically just God's attributes are not separate from him, or his essence. Basically, just his essence is identical to his existence.
Well, I believe that, but that's not what we're on right now. We're on why composite things cannot subsist by themselves.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Their parts give them subsistence, such that without their parts, they wouldn't have subsistence, or they wouldn't exist.
So their existence relies on their attributes, right?
Yeah, being unified.
I'll just clarify.
Well, the problem with saying like there's a problem like with here. I didn't hear the response you gave to when I asked you what's the argument that brute facts specifically are merologically simple.
Yeah, I did get so
But
the whole thing.
I didn't get to hear. But like, well, the thing here is, I'm assuming you're relating that which is meteorologically simple is that which is physical, right?
No, it's not physical.
You said physical earlier.
I said no parts, either physical or metaphysical. It doesn't have any parts.
It doesn't have any parts which is physical or metaphysical.
Mhm.
Right. So, given that it had the parts, it would be physical, right?
Given that it had parts, not necessarily. Things with parts can be immaterial.
Wait,
You
they're
said they
immaterial. They
can't
can be
be
immaterial.
metaphysical, but you just said they can't be metaphysical.
No, I said it doesn't have metaphysical parts.
Okay, great. I mean, yeah, but the argument the argument is just like this. It's just like, well, given that brute facts are meteorologically simple, and the only type of thing in which be meteorologically simple is that which is of God. I take that premise to be false. I want an argument for that premise.
Yeah, so it goes any composite thing, um, a composite. Well, I'll just start off this composite thing by definition. Is something which has parts, and this composite thing exists if and only if its parts are unified. We're talking essentially. So only if its essential parts are unified. Because if their parts are
Wait,
not
what do you mean when
unified,
you
then
say
they don't
unified?
exist. Hmm?
What do you mean when you say unified?
Like brought together to be in one being.
Okay, so you're saying composites are unified?
Yeah, composites are a unification of their parts.
Okay,
So then they exist and subsist by their parts. Thus their parts causally explain them.
unless their parts causally explain them.
Yeah.
To say that, okay, well, okay, I mean, so they either subsist by some other parts or unless their parts explain themselves or explain their existence. Um, what else?
Well, we don't need to go further than that. I'm just saying that argument alone explain why any composite being doesn't isn't a brute fact because they're causally explained. Well, brute facts aren't causally explained. So this is a direct
Oh,
argument that against
no,
composite
that's
being no
just
brute
that's
fact.
what I don't what? Okay, you're saying that from wait what what? Where do we get the jump in logic from?
But be unless I'm misunderstanding what you mean by brute fact, because from my understanding,
Brute
it's
fact.
something which
All a
has
brute
no
fact
explanation.
is something which exists, which is possible that is not does not have an explanation for why it exists.
Yeah, and I'm saying this thing directly goes against the definition
Are you
because
saying that because things have explanations for why they exist, um, there's nothing that can be brute fact?
no, I didn't say nothing can be a brute fact. I'm saying composite
No,
things.
I'm saying no, like contingent thing can be a brute fact.
No, I didn't necessarily say that. I believe that, but I'm saying every composite being. I don't.
Okay,
I'm
but
not
but by composite you mean that which is contingent.
that which is made of parts. But I think things,
Yeah, no,
whether things that are made
but
of
okay,
parts are contingent is a
when we
different
reduce
question.
the meaning of composite, it reduces down into contingent, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, it entails contingency for
Okay,
sure.
great. Okay, so the entire meanings of brute fact is that they're contingent things. They're not necessary things. So I don't understand the reason why, due to like they're existing some X such that X has a reason for why they exist. And they're composed of parts. And all that just simply means reduces down into they're the type of thing which is contingent. Why does that lead down into the conclusion such that there can be no brute facts which are contingent? Because that's the entire point of the brute facts. Brute facts are contingent facts, right? Like they're not necessary facts. This is how anyone in the literature understands it too.
What was the composition point? Did you understand like what I why I was saying? I was saying what deals with the
You were
nature of
saying that
composite.
you're saying stuff about composed of parts, but I wasn't fully listening.
Oh, you're saying what you think that because we think when I mean contingent, all I mean is something which is caused into existence, but its causes can be imputed. Do you mean something else?
Something that can fail to exist in some possible world, right?
Well, that's an entailment, but that's not necessarily the whole definition. But even if we go by that, that's not. It's not all I'm saying. I'm not saying all that just it's contingent. I'm saying its existence is explained, which directly opposes
Well, yeah, I agree.
everything.
I agree that there's contingent facts such that they are explained facts, but that doesn't go against brute facts being contingent facts, because contingent facts aren't the type of thing which are analytically true to be explained.
I'm saying you can composite things are composite. You can say composite things are contingent, but not all contingent things are composite. I
Okay,
don't care what's contingent.
composite
I
things are
think
just things that compose of, like, they're things that are composed of a bunch of different parts, right? Like, that's what you agree to.
yeah,
Okay,
I
now
think things should be contingent.
them being composed of parts have to do with the explanation how. Necessarily have to do with explanation.
Yeah, because we're talking. Keep in mind, we're talking essentially. If their essential parts are not unified, then that thing doesn't exist. Like if an apple is a red fruit, and then we have a red thing that isn't a fruit, then the apple doesn't exist. Thus, its existence is reliant upon its parts, or it's
That's
explained by its
just you're
parts.
just confused on you're confused because that's not the explanation of why X exists. X being some, like, for example, here, let me put you you want yeah, but like X being some red fact, right? For example, X being some red fact, does not lead to the conclusion that X, explained in some. The reason why X exists is because of some red object or something like that, right? Like, or being some red fact or something like that, right? Like, that does not lead that to down to that conclusion. All we're saying there is just that it's composed of parts, and these composed parts, are just these composed parts make up what it is, right? Not explain why it is. So, like, if I have an apple, right? Say that, well, the apple is composed of parts such that the apple, is some red fruit. And given it's not true that there's a red fruit, the apple does not exist. That does not follow to the conclusion that, well, the reason for why apples exist, is because they're red fruit. That just doesn't follow.
Yeah, so it kind of does because, like you're saying, what explains its essence but not its existence. But the whole point is to say, to unite this essence with an active being. We're saying what composes the essence in this case, then would communicate this active being to the essence.
But what do you
So
mean when you say active being?
in active existence, like being is a primitive notion. It's like I can just give you synonyms, but generally it's considered a primitive notion.
Sorry, you said what? Just say it again. Sorry.
Being is considered a primitive notion, which can just be summed up by synonyms like that it is or existence.
Okay, active being is just some primitive notion, as in it's resulting into what again? My fault. Let me write this down.
You just can
So
Where it can
active.
just be
Wait, hold on, just
described
real
as
quick.
synonym.
Active being is a primitive notion that denotes what?
Well, that only is described by synonyms like to be or that a thing is.
Okay, so only thing an active being is that which it is, right? So, like, for
No,
example, an
I'm
apple.
saying being
No,
is
for
that
example,
a thing is.
yeah, being that what it, yeah, like a being is that which a thing is. So it's its identity, right? Like, specifically its substance.
Well, not necessarily its identity. An active being isn't that. It's just
What?
that.
Who
When we
relates to its
if we
identity?
say
Huh?
this apple, that denotes its identity. When we say is, that denotes existence. There's a distinction between them.
Wait, say the two statements again.
Like when I say the apple, that denotes essence or identity. When I say is, that denotes its existence.
Is essence not synonymous
Wait,
to
you said it. What's that, like, the I word you said? Because
no?
I can't hear that part. Like, your phone is, like, kind of bugging.
Oh, sorry, is.
Is apple?
Yeah, if I say this apple is, the is refers to existence, and the apple refers to
Okay,
identity.
There's just no distinction there. The apple and the apple is just the. I don't see like a difference there. I feel like we're uttering the same exact sentence there, right? Like if I say the apple, I'm talking specifically about the actual, like, I'm talking about the existence of the apple. I'm talking about what it is, right? Like I'm saying the apple, right? I'm not comparing it to anything. When you say the apple is, what you're doing there is you're latching on some other predicate, right? Like you're latching on something else that the apple contains as well as its existence, right? But like is does not denominate the existence specifically. Like just is denominates the existence of it.
No, because like when we talk, you're saying it refers to an actual apple, not necessarily. We can refer to something's essence without referring to existence in an actual,
What is
like I
essence?
can say, I can essence is what, like, or the quiddity or its identity, right?
You say that again. My fault.
It's whatness, its quiddity, or its identity.
Essence is whatness. It's quiddity or identity.
Yeah,
Okay, so what something is.
yeah.
Okay, so
So
essence
we
is
can
what
ref-
something is. And then what other statement are we gonna say?
yeah, I'm saying that we can refer to essence without referring to actual existence. So then the argument that you gave prior is false, and the example is
Wait,
like,
sorry. Say that again. Sorry. I was texting someone.
is
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
I'm
paying
saying
attention now.
we can
Hmm?
refer to essence without referring to an actual existence. The argument you gave before is false. I can refer to some hypothetical notion such as a
What?
unicorn.
So essence refers to that which is actual and that which is hypothetical, and then
No,
existence refers. Okay, then so how's the previous statement false?
I'm saying you can pick out, or the referent of apple or like unicorn, for example, could be essence, but that doesn't necessitate an actual existence, such as like in the example of a unicorn. It necessitates
Okay.
mental
Yeah,
being, but not
that's
actual.
obviously true. That's not like that's not what's that distinction here. The problem is this though. What we're saying here is just this. Like, okay, so I asked you earlier, is essence referring to some hypothetical state, and also some actual state as well, or it can refer to two. I don't know why you said no because you just use essence to refer to some hypothetical state, but um, the problem is just this though. Um, when we're saying the apple is specifically, we can also just use the same sort of language to depict something which is non-actual.
Yeah, I agree with you, but in
Okay,
the
great. So
sentence
then,
where I was
and what
using,
depicts the question is this: what depicts something's actual existence?
well, many things can refer. It can any word can refer to it. I think, well, not any word, but like if you want to use, we can say this thing actually exists, or in most cases, we just say this thing exists. Most people just mean actual existence when they say that.
So this sentence is this thing exists or this thing's actually exists. Rather, okay,
Yeah,
that's good. So now we can just go back onto the original thing, right? So keep sketching out the argument for why it follows that it's explained.
yeah. I was asking, do you think a brute fact, when you say it has no explanation, are you talking about no efficient cause or just no
Wait, say it again.
intermediate
Say it again.
cause? Are you talk when you say like because this thing is caused by its parts, that doesn't explain why it is? Are you looking for some efficient cause then? Because I think explaining why this thing is right now is sufficient to say it has no
Only thing the thing that we're talking about here, the thing we're talking about here is just this, where we're saying that brute facts are the type of thing which are not explained for why they exist. Um, so obviously we're not talking about some temporal location, right? Like you agree with that? We're not talking about like where it exists.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we're talking about why it exists. What's the reason for its existence, right? Now,
Yeah.
denoting some property does not tell us why this thing exists. So specifically, if I say, we say we have some random brute fact, and that random brute fact is a pineapple, right? Now, this pineapple, we have no reason for why it exists, right? But we just know it denotes the property of being a pineapple, right? Like it has the parts of a pineapple, it's composite, right? Like it's all those things. It has the properties of pineapples, right? Now, just saying, well, given that it did not have these pineapples, or did not have the conjunctive properties of a pineapple, is reason for why it exists. well, it just doesn't follow to me with that, right? Because what we're really looking for is just, well, why does X exist? Why did X come into existence?
Well, you're saying why is it given an active being? And I'll just say, that's
You said
already
wait, no.
explained
You
by
said
the
because
parts.
its parts are actualized.
Yes. And
Okay, so popping into existence is what it being actualized, right?
Not even necessarily. Just because its parts have actual being and its parts are unified, that makes it exist. The same way, like
One
how
of the parts are unified, but like given that reason, then there's nothing on your account that exists for brute fact. Like there's no brute facts under your account, right? So then God couldn't be a brute fact.
Well, there's no brute facts other than a simple being, which is the whole point we try to say.
Okay, well, yeah, no. The point is, you're saying that okay, brute facts can simply be like your entire response is this: brute facts can simply be explained by their parts being actualized into existence, right? Like that which is simple, apparently, I'm guessing does not have parts or something like that.
No,
they don't have parts. Okay, well, that's confusing. They have no parts. Then what are they?
that's just existence. And qualified.
Okay,
Doesn't exist in any specific
they're
way.
just existence.
Yep.
Okay, so okay, so you don't think existence is like some type of part? Like you don't think there's some? Okay, that's
Well, I
that's
think
fine.
it can constitute a part, but
okay, then so then God just existing could be a part then, right?
well, no, it has to be united to something else. God is just his active existence. We are not.
You said what?
God is his active existence. We're not.
What does that mean to be his active existence? What does that mean?
That his essence is identical to his existence, such that there's no difference.
His essence is identical to his existence. Is that just to say his existence is identical to his existence? Like, because okay, if essence is what something is, and exists. What? Or does this guy just yell out and say what?
Is he good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think he's a bit schizo.
Is that C?
Mm-hmm. So just continue.
Just continue. I don't know who the fuck that was.
Yeah, but anyways, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was saying he just is his active existence, like his essence.
Yeah, but okay. So when you say his essence, it's just something it is, right?
His essence is just that he is.
Yeah, that which he is, and existence is what?
That he is. In God, essence and existence are numerically identical. They're not different.
Okay. So they're just the same exact type of thing. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm confused on why you say God's essence is identical to existence if all you're just saying is just God's existence is identical to its existence, because that's all the statement's saying there. But
well, sorry for the confusion. It's because you asked what God is, and I was just saying he is in existence.
Yeah, okay, so the thing is, okay, now I'm confused on this part, right? Like you say that God existence is identical to existence, which is obviously trivially true. Now there must be something you're baking in to make that type of distinction between any other entity, right? Like there's something of God that makes his existence identical to his existence, such so there's a distinction between that and any other normal being, right?
What do you mean? There's something. No, there's not something in God that causes his.
You don't think that? Do you think that normal people's essence is identical to their existence?
No, but it's because we're created.
Okay, they're created. So what something is just some being that's created, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, not something is not just some being that's created, but all creatures are something that's created. Yep.
All creatures are something that's created, and then you said what?
Yeah, that causes us to be composite because the only way where you can have something other than God under this view is if you have some limitation upon being or some essence which is not existence. That's the only way to have anything other than God under that view. Otherwise it would just be identical to him.
Sorry, I was typing in chat. You said what?
I said, yeah, under this view, everything else would need to have essence other than God, or else it would just be the same as God.
Well, yeah, that's precisely the pathway that we're leaving it. That I'm like kind of leaning you down towards, right? So the problem is like, or well, not really the problem, but like what there seems to be like this arbitrary distinction between like other people's essences and God's essence specifically. And I'm guessing the only essence different or essence distinction is that X is not created and then X2 is created, right? There's a distinction.
Well, I mean, I guess there's distinctions in mode of being as well, but yeah.
Oh, there's distinctions in mode of beings, like what, like act and potency.
Yeah, like we're a mix of act and potency for one, you know, but also just like God is the fullness of being. We would say that essence is like a limitation upon being, like you exist
So
as
let's
being.
sketch out what potency is. Sketch out what potency is.
Potency is the capacity, to be something else or to receive.
Like the potential or something.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, then does Santa Claus exist? Or like
And potentially.
he has potential to exist?
Yeah.
Is this how anyone else uses the terms? I'm not sure anyone else uses the terms this way.
Yeah, St. Thomas says I can give you his definition if you want from his book.
Well, no, I agree. No, I agree. Thomas used the term that way, but like I'm saying, is it like this? Is this normal English? Is this like how anyone else uses the terms this way?
Well, I mean,
Because obviously this doesn't seem obviously like
that's irrelevant.
If you're you said what?
It's
irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how that's irrelevant.
Yeah, regardless of how
derive our
people use or interpret or use a word in like certain realms of discourse, that wouldn't really matter. If Thomas holds that this word infers X, then that's just what it infers under or relative to the framework. I don't see why you're bringing that up.
Yeah, that's obviously I agree that like you can use a really idiosyncratic definition of a word and it be true that you can still pertain to the world even though people call you out that it's idiosyncratic. But again, like the entire like the problem with it is that it's idiosyncratic, and two, there's just other problems with it too. But like
what does idiosyncratic mean to you?
I'm just saying that when I say idiosyncratic, I'm just being like, this is a type of word that not most people use, or this is the meaning of the word that not most people use.
That's fine. I'll just hold it. I don't see how that's problematic. Cause like even like
Wait, I'm kind of confused on how. Wait, if you want, we can end it here. I think I'm satisfied with the entire thing earlier, but I want to end the point of the act and potency part specifically. If you're willing on ending here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I don't think there's anywhere further to go. I just don't think we use the terms that way. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's fun. Good discussion.
Well, yeah, I'm done with the act and potency part. I just don't think that people use the term that way. And like, if your view accounts for Santa exists like potentially, like with like potential or some shit like that, well then yeah, I mean, there's reasons enough for not hold that fucking view. I mean, that fucking view is obviously confused. But I do want to talk to this methodological skepticist guy because he said I lost it. Hello, what are you gonna make?
If you want, like you could just tell me like your main contentions with his view.
Well, the main contention. Oh yeah,
Yeah.